The Manufactured Crisis of the Tiger Team Signal Chat. The article, The Tiger Team, When National Security Becomes a Signal Group Chat, by Ksenia Pavlovich, masquerades as hard-hitting journalism while serving as little more than a political smear job wrapped in hyperbole and fear-mongering. Rather than uncovering genuine malfeasance or scandal, the piece exploits a clerical error, a wrong signal invite, to indict an entire group of America First leaders, many of whom have spent their careers defending this nation, while the left-leaning media class lounges in intellectual ivory towers. Pavlovich's scathing tone and theatrical narrative betray not concern for national security, but disdain for the political resurgence of patriotic conservatives shaping U.S. foreign policy. Let's be clear, this wasn't a crisis of competence. This was a tech hiccup, an unfortunate one, yes, but not the constitutional crisis the article pretends it to be. To exploit such an error to question the integrity of individuals like Michael Waltz, J.D. Vance, Pete Hegseth, and Marco Rubio while relying on vague insinuations and selectively leaked messages is not journalism. It's partisan propaganda. More concerning than the supposed breach is the weaponization of this event to slander the Trump administration and its allies. Pavlovich's article is less about signal protocols and more about signaling virtue to her political tribe. The suggestion that this moment was unprecedented in American military history, not even during the Iraq War, is laughably ahistorical. Leaks, internal confusion, and even journalists embedded in real-time combat have occurred in every major conflict since Vietnam. But suddenly, a rogue group invite is treated as Watergate 2.0. No, the real crisis is not the chat. It's the overblown, self-important media class desperate to control the narrative and discredit those who dare to challenge the DC establishment. Let's cut through the theatrics and examine the facts, not the melodramatic interpretation offered by Pavlovich. 1. The event was a mistake, not a malicious breach. The signal chat incident originated from a mistaken inclusion of a journalist. Every indication, including statements from Speaker Mike Johnson and various officials, confirms that it was unintentional. This isn't espionage. It's a bureaucratic blunder, a wrong phone number, not a coordinated conspiracy. If Goldberg had any integrity, he would have immediately excused himself. Instead, he chose to remain in the chat and collect material, only to feign surprise later. 2. Classified material was not published. Pavlovich makes it sound as though America's nuclear codes were sent over signal. They weren't. Even Goldberg, the unintended recipient, did not publish the most sensitive messages because, by his admission, they lacked full operational detail. No strategic imperatives were exposed, and no troop positions were compromised. There is no evidence that this episode endangered any lives. 3. Signal is secure and widely used. While Signal is not the gold standard for top-tier intelligence sharing, it is end-to-end encrypted and regularly used by government officials, diplomats, and journalists around the world. European agencies may avoid it for ultra-sensitive data, but let's not pretend it's some unprotected group text. The hyperventilating over its vulnerability is intended more to smear than inform. Even so, the correction is simple. Update internal protocol, not crucify public servants. 4. Political elites are terrified of accountability. What irks the author is that this group chat included voices outside the stale swamp consensus, people like J.D. Vance and Pete Hegseth, who do not parrot the globalist narrative, question endless entanglements in the Middle East, and want Europe to pay its fair share. The quotes about European freeloading aren't scandalous, they're truthful. If that offends the DC cocktail circuit or Atlantic staff writers, so be it. 5. This is not about leadership, it's about control. Pavlovich ends her piece by calling it a crisis of leadership. What she means is, how dare these conservatives operate outside the legacy media's gatekeeping apparatus? The truth is that these men were doing their jobs, assembling a response to Houthi aggression and coordinating a legitimate national defense measure. The left didn't like that it wasn't done in the style or through the channels they control. Conclusion. This episode is not a national security scandal. It's a journalistic hit piece dressed up in Cold War-era paranoia. The actual breach isn't in signal. It's in trust, the American people's trust in media institutions that no longer report the truth but instead revile it. They see conservative leadership not as an alternative voice, but as a threat to be silenced. Shame on the Pavlovic today for stoking baseless panic, and shame on the Atlantic for reveling in accidental access and then crying foul. Let the record show, the Tiger team was not reckless. The absolute recklessness lies with those who confuse political vendettas for journalistic integrity, and the American people see right through it.